Speak it out, but daily desk. Mahonero wako panyayai. Why don't you speak it out? Speak it out, speak it out. Daughter, yeah, speak it out. Why don't you speak it out? Why don't you speak it out? Speak it out, yeah. Now all is green.
Hello guys, welcome back to Speak It Out on Daily Desk. This is your host, Ali Green, the host with the most. Guys, we are back with another exciting episode, and today we have got a guest in the building, Say Comforter. Welcome to Speak It Out.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure too to have you here. It's not easy to call a man to come to the shows. You know, men are more privacy and...
Men have to be very private, because if you're not private as a man, then definitely you expose yourself to danger.
Really?
It's always like that.
Is it not your ego, guys? Like, you just want to be like, I'm the man.
We can call it an ego, but it is what it is.
So who is Say Comforter?
Say Comforter is Munyah originally.
Munyah.
But I don't like it in full, I like it in short. For one reason, the ego that you've been talking about. And Munyah is actually operating as the heavyweight in different aspects of life, according to my definition and my view.
How did you choose the heavyweight part of it?
The heavyweight comes from a very long place and deep. It's a combination of the physical and the spiritual.
Wow.
So you come up with...
So you are the heavyweight.
I am the heavyweight.
And do you know Prophet Madungwe, he calls himself Heavenly Army Commander. Now you are the heavyweight.
In every area of life, be it the physical or the spiritual, there is deployment. And there are people that plays roles. Some play minor roles, some play major roles in those areas. So maybe Madungwe plays the Heavenly Army Commander, but I play the heavyweight.
You play the heavyweight.
I play the heavyweight.
I just want to ask you as on the spiritual side of the heavyweight, do you believe Madungwe really visit heaven sometimes and cook meat for God and like make stuff, go with stuff there?
It's like a coin. A coin has got two sides, and there is a no and there is a yes, depending on where you are viewing him from. From the scriptural perspective, it says we are seated in the heavenly places with Christ Jesus. Okay. So there is automatically an answer there, that when we are seated in heavenly places with Christ Jesus, there are activities involved, like cooking, eating, and all that. But now we are dealing with the spiritual, not the way we think when we hear that somebody is sitting with God and they are having a meal. So it might be a yes that Madungwe does that with God, and it might be a no, depending on his spiritual connectivity and connections.
Okay. Guys, we are in the studio today with Say Comforter. Please kindly share this video and call your friend to call your friend. And this video is sponsored by Glitzy Hair. For those who like to buy hair, please hit Glitzy Hair, and you can see her information on the screen below. She also teaches how to make wigs, installations, and she also sells hair. So please contact her over here. Also, you know, today you're here in the studio. I want us to talk about the inequalities in marriages, like 50-50.
Well, that's a very heavy topic, and
you are the
if I wasn't the heavyweight, I think I would have not been a guest on such a platform. It's a beautiful topic to tackle, especially in this era and this generation. I think the kind of people, especially the young generation, need to hear more about this 50-50 in relationship, and it spills over to marriage. because we can't talk about a relationship without a marriage.
Yeah, we talk about relationship.
Although there is a very big knife there
Okay.
that cuts between the relationship and the marriage, because this generation does not really believe in marriage. They believe more in a relationship. That's why you find out that people can be together in a relationship for 10, 15, 20 years without considering it to become a marriage. So if you are to introduce a 50-50 there, then we have some question marks. We have a lot of questions to answer when it comes to a relationship on a 50-50. And when we look at the marriage now, a 50-50 might be a possibility, but we need to dive in and find out what we can catch out of it.
Okay. But what can be the problem? What can be the cause of this generation not believing into marriages?
It's complicated in the sense that I think they have not really understood the importance of marriage. Number one. Number two, they have not really gotten to the value of marriage and the benefits of marriage, because there are benefits of marriage. I'm sitting right here and married for some years. Just to try and think, if I was not married now, what are things that were capable or are capable of happening to me? So in this case, marriage can act as a wall of defense. It will act as protection, of which now some people, the youngsters, might not really see it that way. So I think they're really not getting the value and the importance of marriage. That's why they don't consider it. They stay in relationships.
So what do you think can be done? Because I think like you can't know something without being told how good the thing is, the good sides of the thing. Like as you said, there's two sides on the coin. There's a head and a tail.
Yeah.
And no one tell you this other side is a tail when you're holding the head side. So what can be done for them to understand the good or the benefits of being in a marriage?
This generation has freedom of choice, which then becomes a restriction and a restrainer to impose them or to push them to a corner of understanding things from a traditional perspective. We are where we are right now because of the foundations that were set by our fathers. Our fathers believed so much in marriage and they raised us in that foundation. Therefore, we believe in it. But right now we have a lot of people, a lot of children that are raised outside the foundations of a well-structured marriage. So they think marriage doesn't really work. We have people who are raised by somebody else who is not even their parents because their parents failed in that area. So definitely, what do you think will happen? So what I think needs to be done is to use the spiritual way of communication, because the spiritual way does not just address the flesh, it also addresses the spirit. And on the spiritual side, that's where everything starts from. The real understanding that we seek from the outward, if it's not gotten from the inward, then it is not understanding. So I think in this case, the solution is to dig deep and find out the state of the spirit of the young ones, bring them into that very place which I want to call the genesis, where everything begins, and lay a foundation and say, this is what you have to follow.
Wow. I hope it's helping someone out there who is hearing this, because we cannot blame them because they've never been told what marriage is and how important it is. Because today we have got a lot of, like, the rates of divorce are like every day you hear people are divorcing. And you ask yourself why? Why did they get into the thing and come out of it within 2 years or 1 year? Or some people, they even stay in there for 6 months and they're out.
There are structures that we really need to revisit the foundation thereof. Constitutions, you might call them, organizations, you might call them. I grew up in a church. I started going to a church from a very young age. Sunday school, I remember my sister taking me to church. Sunday school there, we got there. I enjoyed the tea and the cakes. And I fell in love with church, okay? Then I began to grow and, become a teenager and all that. But when I was just maybe little years after teenage, the very question that I was asked is not whether I received the Holy Ghost or whether I understand who God is. The very first question was, when are you getting married? So you see where the problem starts. When are you getting married? I don't know what marriage is. I don't know what to do when I get in there. So now I start thinking, okay, when should I get married? Okay? Because they've already planted a seed in me. I'm just trying to show you where the biggest problem starts from. You are being pushed into something you do not understand. So you are being told of marriage, and then in your mind you are thinking there is marriage, and you look back, you look around you, you see your father is married. You don't know what's going on in there, because remember, you only know that your mother and your father, they got married. You don't know how.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on in their marriage. You don't know. When they fight, they close doors or they send you to the shops. All right. So they're creating that appetite in you, and then you arise, boom, you get married. You don't know what to do. All you celebrate is the marriage. That's where the biggest problem comes in. So you have a wife or you have a husband, but you don't know your roles. You don't know your duty as a wife. You don't know your duty as a man. Nobody taught you nothing. We believe in cultural structures which are sometimes okay, sometimes very deadly. We believe in our grandmothers advising wives. We believe in our aunties advising. But are they advising according to the current information which is relevant for now? Because somebody can have information which is the past information, yet the information that is required to be a solution is the current information, the now information. Do you have it? No. So which means we're going to raise a generation that is dumb or heartbroken or whatever, and then we continue like that up to a place where we come and say, this has to stop. We stop it and we introduce. That is new.
Wow. Like those, I think like someone who's watching is getting help from that, because we are never told. We just crave to be in marriages. We are craving that I want a husband, I want a wife, but no one told you. Even your parents won't tell you. They're just like, oh, marriage is not easy. Like marriage yakawoma, but they never told you chicha kawoma.
Exactly.
What is the do's and the don'ts? They don't tell you, but just marriage yakawoma unafana ushinga wanangu.
So then, to introduce 50-50 in such a setup, it's already a waste of time, because nobody will understand what is a 50-50 if they do not understand what they have jumped into. So somebody has to understand what they have jumped into before they understand the responsibilities thereof, the 50-50. So to a person who is mature, it is easy to talk about 50-50, to say, okay, you're going to be paying the fees for the children, and I'm going to be paying the rent and all that. Somebody can understand from a mature point of view, not just a mature point of view. Some of these things do not need maturity. They need for you to go to school, learn to reason. So if you are culturally centered, you have been raised in a way that your husband has to eat, you have to cook. If that remains a standard in 2024, 2030, then we're going to have a problem. Because right now, in the place that we are at now, you should be working, he should be working, I should be working, she should be working. That's the 50-50. But who understands that?
But, on that point, you said you must be educated. There are other people who are out there, they didn't have money, they didn't have the opportunity to go to school. Their parents couldn't afford them school. They couldn't afford anything which is under education. But those people, they want to be in marriages. What can they do? Do they have to look for the information now, or to go and get educated before they get into the marriage?
Thank you for bringing that across. Education does not really mean going to school. You can learn from home. You can learn from others. You can learn from internet. You can learn from Google. You can learn from observing. There are so many channels by which one can be educated besides the set institutions like schools and all that. No. The problem we have with people who always look for someone to blame. They say, oh, my parents didn't take me to school, so that's the reason why I cannot be married, or I cannot manage my marriage properly. No. With your phone, you can learn. With friends, proper friends, you can learn. With just observing, you can learn. So there's so many things that can teach you and make you that best person to be able to handle and deal with everything that you face in life.
Yeah, but do you know people who are in privilege to get the phone? They don't even have a phone. Maybe they stay like in a rural area where there's nothing they can use, any technology. There are other people who don't even know how to use a phone, but they maybe they're 50 years, 60 years. They grew up in the rural area, they go to school there, they die there. They never go to the city.
All right, let me give you a biblical example. A man who is so popular in the Bible by the name David. He has a record of looking for his father's sheep and flock, right? In the forest. There's no school there. But this guy appears to be the one who qualifies to come and solve issues to do with the palace of Saul, right? There is a problem in the palace. Then the person who is being picked there is David, a guy who has no record of going to school, but a guy who has a record of being in the forest and learning things, ethics of how to deal with problems like bears, problems like lions in the forest, to a point that he also learned how to play music. No school of arts is recorded there. So I'm saying, even if you are in the village, there are things that can teach you life, the basics of life, because learning can be upgraded. Right now, there are so many courses that people are doing, which were never there the time that you were doing your kindergarten and all that. It's upgrade of information, upgrade of learning. So you upgrade. When you are in the village, I grew up in a village. We never really had, we had to walk 20 kilometers to go to school. I remember at some point we never had shoes to go to school wearing. But that was not an excuse. I grew up selling fruits on the marketplaces. Okay? And other children were traveling and doing all sorts of things. But I learned life through those circumstances. And that's why I am where I am. I kept on upgrading my learning things. So somebody who never had money, still, the doors are not closed. Age is not a limit. There's no boundaries or blockages that can stop one from learning. Even at 40, you can still learn. At 50, you can still learn. So there's really no excuse, I think. You are there in the village, you can come up and learn. You can learn.
Wow. Guys, we've got Comforter in the building here. Please kindly share this video to your friends, to your aunties, to your sisters, to anyone that you think can be in help of this video. And don't forget, this video is sponsored by Chido Fashion Designer. Guys, for your dresses, wedding dress, birthdays, any occasional dresses, she's your girl. For weddings, for lobola, those want to get married, please hit Chido. She's going to make your dress for you. So, Prophet, this is going to be like, I just want to ask you this question. Do you think couples should split bills or chores like 50-50?
It depends on where they are founded. It depends on the structure, the foundation of the relationship. Like I said, if a male or a husband or a wife in the setup understand the need, then there's no problem. But if you are standing on a traditional cultural foundation whereby you say a man should be the one providing, then it becomes a problem. I personally don't see it as a problem. Bills need to be split 50-50 if the environment is conducive. If the environment is conducive. Because there are some point where you can stand and say, we should split the bills 50-50, right? But you realize that one of the part is not working. So what are you going to do on the 50-50? You see. So if the environment is conducive, there's really no problem. Bills must be split. Or if this one feels like they can take care of the whole bill, let them do that. It's just like inviting somebody to a restaurant. I remember we went to this other fine dining, and when we got there, I thought I was the one paying the bill. And guess what? We fought on the table to pay the bill. Not in 50s, but in 100%. So it all depends with the understanding of both parties. But personally, I say there's no problem. It's okay,
on this
50-50.
situation you were talking about, when both of you are working, and sometimes I come back from work, we also go to work, my husband goes to work, and now there's dishes need to be washed, there's clothes need to be washed, the house need to be cleaned, and now it's me who must clean the house, who must cater on those things, who must cook, who must do anything which requires chores, whatever it is. And but going to work, both of us are going to work. Everyone is bringing money on the table. What can you say about in a situation like that?
That can only be a Zimbabwean man raised from a church. A Zimbabwean man raised in a church has this locked up mentality. I'm sorry to say, but this is what it is. It is just what it is. You are locked up mentally to a point that you value culture than reality. There is fantasy, things that you imagine, and then there's reality. Never in any book does it say a husband should not wash dishes, do the bed, sweep the house. And it does not really mean that if you do that, you then become a woman. No. So it's a mentality that needs to be structured, because anyone can wash dishes. Right now we have hotels. Go to a hotel right now and find out that what is the percentage of men working as chefs. In other words, a chef is a cook, is a person that cooks from our understanding.
Yes.
Mubiki, the cook, anobika, muniyeye, murume. So it's a man who is actually doing the cooking thing. And if you go in the same setup into the scullery, you find a man washing dishes. So if you can do that at work, why can you not come back home and do it? So the man, like I said, it can only be a Zimbabwean man raised in a church.
Guys, it can only be a Zimbabwean man raised in a church. Because sometimes on a situation like that, maybe my husband's family members can come to the house and find him in the kitchen, or they find him cleaning or washing or changing our baby's diapers, like akajikiswa.
Yes, I've had a lot of, like I said, if you go to Zimbabwe, and that is the statement. That is the statement. And it's the information we need to discard. When you grow up, when you mature as a man or as a woman, you need to discard certain information, because that information might be the one that will mess up your life. When you are doing what works for the two of you, it has to be done from within. And you don't care what other people think or what other people say about that. So, like I said, from a Zimbabwean perspective, when they find me on the stove cooking, they say, "Akajigiswa."
Yeah.
Of which that's not true, because they don't know what I eat in my house, and they don't know when I eat in my house. So that information is a lie.
I think I need to because that's the other thing, like we normally face every day. You're not going to gather. Like growing up, your mom is talking with her sisters, or oh, and or akuwacha manepo or akuwacha zvinhu and akajikiswa. So because like maybe it's men who must do this.
I love cooking. I cook in my house. So there are times where my wife, I know that, okay, she's overwhelmed. There's a lot of work around her. And guess what? I cook. There's a time I realize that, okay, she's overwhelmed. I do dishes. I clean the house. I do the bed. I put the clothes in the laundry. So it's about a mindset. If your mindset is not properly structured, then you begin to think all that. Anyway, let me tell you something. I've been in church, and Zimbabwean churches, to be specific. There is one thing that I rejected because I knew that it will affect my own house and relationship. In Zimbabwean church structures, they say once you are anointed, you are excluded from certain roles or duties. That's what they do. And I think that is killing rather than saving. Mukomana ane 16 years, kana ane 15 years. As long as akuruzodziwa, nekumba azodzwa. Ato amzodziwa kana spooning adona banongi, pana nufana kuyonononga. It's something I observed and I said no to this. I would do my own things. Even at church, I would carry my own. Unless I am called to preach somewhere, but they know I carry my own Bible. Why? Because I wouldn't allow such a thing to come in and cause disabilities in me.
Okay.
Ukajaira kuitirwa zvinhu every time wakuda kuitirwa, then that becomes a problem.
Azvirevere kuti kana munhu apasta ora muzodziwa, now you must have boys who are around you or ladies who are around you who do stuff for you.
You still have a no as an answer. You can't tell me that you are 15 years old, 16 years old, and you need someone to tie your shoelaces. Now, it looks good on camera, but in reality, it is damaging you. That's why you find out that we have a lot of pastors that die young. Why? Because they were supposed to have been doing certain duties that will rescue them health-wise, but they don't do all those things as part of exercise. All they know is to say water, Bible, this, and then it's given to their, it's killing them. So I said no to that, because in the house, there are some men right now, I tell you, they don't know how to cook. Pap, just pap. Ask a Zimbabwean man to cook pap. No. Look, there are some, most actually, let's say 99% of men. But I told you so big. Because they are told that mukadzi ndiano big. No. It's nothing like that. I agree with that statement at some point, but not. You know the role of a woman? The role of a woman in a marriage is to take care of that which the man has put together, which is the vision.
Okay.
That's the role of a woman. So if your husband does not put something on the table, okay, there's something, let me be specific, it's not money, because Slay Queens will actually applaud at this if I don't make it straight. Something on the table is not money.
Okay.
No, it's a solid vision, a solid map on how the two of you are going to be traveling within the course of life. Not Jamaica, Japan, Djibouti, and America. No. The traveling within the vision. Where are we starting and where are we going? How are we doing our things? That's where the 50-50 comes in. So it's like an organization whereby your husband becomes the CEO or the founder of the organization, and then you become the managing director. So you are working together 50-50 towards a certain set goal.
I just want to ask, I'm always curious. How does it work? Like maybe you are 20 years old or you're 30 years old, but you call someone who is 70 years old or 80 years old, my son. They're old enough to be your father or your uncle.
Like I said, it's church doctrine and church culture, which Jesus said, you have made the word of God of none effect because of your tradition and your culture. Right? I know it's happening. For me, personally, I say it is wrong.
Okay.
If it is done by somebody who is filled up with pride. If I call an 80-year-old man my son, from a flesh perspective, I've messed up. But from a spiritual perspective, I should call him a son inwardly, not outwardly. So I cannot be heard saying my son, but I can be listened to by the spiritual inside and know that this one is my son.
Because we do see some things like that happening, and like you can even send a 80 years old man to errand to do something for you, like teacher Munyah udaiso.
Yeah, that one is mental disorder. It's mental disorder. You cannot send anybody who is older than you. Even praying for them, I've seen it happening on screens and all that, where you just say, you come here.
Yeah.
And it's a 90-year-old, and then you say, no, you're not. That's mental disorder. I'm sorry to say, but that's what it is. You have lost your mind. You have lost, to disrespect such an age for the sake of the gospel. That's why Jesus said, let the young ones come to me. Do not stop them. He said, greet your elders. There is a layup of all these things, but we are ignorant to this. You have made the word of God of none effect because of your tradition. You follow a church doctrine. Like I said, churches have caused more harm than good, in the sense that they've raised people who are doing otherwise than what should be done when it comes to the gospel. And it comes to the marriages again. The church and those that run it have caused more danger.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. Do you know there are people who are not supposed to be married?
I didn't know.
Yeah. There are people who are not meant for marriage. Do you know why marriage had to come in? Marriage is for the sober mind.
What? Can you like explain on that?
Marriage is for the sober mind.
Okay.
Marriage is for those that understand what God has called them for. That's number one. And there is a picture that God really wanted to paint when he said, you need to get married. The intention and the mind of God was to push the vision, which is the church. Okay? Not for everyone else to say, no, everyone else must be married. No, some of the people out there who are married, they're actually better single. You
Really?
can actually do better being single than married. Be a bishop, okay? You want to be a bishop, get married. You want to be a pastor or whatever, it's okay, get married. But some pastors also, marriage will become the restrictor. So marriage is not for everyone.
Oh, I didn't know. I think I learned.
This is the final truth. But according to the culture, like a Zimbabwean culture, everyone must be married.
Because you do have like your aunties, your sisters, or your uncles asking you, when are you getting married?
Yeah.
You're being asked on that question.
Because what's in their mind is just marriage. It's not money. It's not destiny. It's not God's mandate and mission.
We are with Prophet Comforter in the building. We're talking about inequality in marriages, 50-50. So, Prophet, our next question. I know you don't like to be called Prophet. You don't want a title.
Yeah, titles will come with a lot.
What's the scary part of being called a prophet?
It's people tend to exaggerate, and it calls out for more. When that name is mentioned, it triggers a lot. And if you have not prepared yourself enough, then you will have to give out an image, which might not be a reality. So you find out that calling a name, not a title, will actually place the person at ease, but be able to answer the questions that, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you know, I've got this curious question. I always see prophets like these days in the Bible, as we say in the Bible, they used to say anadanya wakaiswa mugombare shumba yakauya. They've been tested in so many ways. But these days, my prophet at now or my pastors at now, whenever they're in a situation, or they withdraw the thing. Like, I actually change completely so that they stay in the safe side. What can be the problem? Like, as a Bible, these days here, sacrifice.
You can sacrifice, but like we said, times have changed. So mazona kusina makomba emashumba.
No, but it can be another situation. It can be like a tough for you.
Yeah. There is a lot that is happening behind the scenes, and some of them we might not know. But one thing I know for sure is I'm a good example. I was in a custody for 3 nights. I was in prison for 1 night. Okay, I understand that that was the time where I was resisting God. So when you resist God, he will let you or allow you to pass through certain trials and tests. Although it's not everyone prepared to face that, because that's a very painful kind of a thing. So if there is a way, you have to avoid it. Just like Jesus, he says, if it would be possible, this cup will pass me by. Meaning to say, if I had a choice, or if there was another way, I would have not taken this way. I would have gone the other way. So I'm sure most prophets, they take the other way. So if there's a way to avoid, even Jesus said, if they persecute you in this city, flee to another city. He's trying to say avoid it. So there are things that you can, allow to come through you, and there are things that you can avoid.
But you're a man of God, you need to be tested.
Yes, you have to be tested, but there are some things that will test and crush and destroy you and finish you, and yet you still have to do the work of God. So if there is a way to avoid and complete your assignment, and then later on deal with God.
But my prophets, something, even politician can come against them. They would pray. Or what mvura ichatenga kunaya haichamiri kusvika vanhu vayozokumbura regero kuna prophet or pachitwa zvakati zvinenge zvoita vanhu vanovhunduka nazvo. But these days there is no way you can find a man of God who can do something which can trigger even the government, even the police. Anyone can be like, wow, this is a real man of God. Or munhu uyo atonamatira prayer kuti mvura inayo pamusi wa5 kusvika musi wa20.
Look, guns are real. Death is real. Knives, they fly. If there is a situation that you can handle in other way, do it. It's there in the Bible. There are times whereby you can say, I'm going to face this. And there are times where you say, I am not, I will run for my life.
And most of you are running for your life.
Oh yeah, running is good. Running will save you, will save the next generation. Because if you don't run and you're supposed to birth out a certain generation for the next season, and you don't run, you would have sacrificed the entire generation.
But you have to stand with the Bible. You have to stand with God. You have to stand with the calling.
There's two runnings. There's a running in the physical and running in the spiritual. So which one are you doing? That's what matters. So if people see me running physically, they'll say, oh yeah, this guy is running. But in the spirit, I'm not running. I'm just changing the strategy. So I can come and say, Pamberine EFF, okay? And yet I belong to ANC. Do you understand what I'm saying? I am doing is I am actually building a shield around me that will preserve me for these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, right? But it's only a spiritual man that can look at me and understand that, okay, this is why this man had to say this. Look at even Jesus himself. There are statements that he said that he never meant to say those statements. Same as other disciples. Do you see that? So it's more on the spiritual understanding than it appears to be fleshly. That's why when a spiritual man speaks or acts, it should only be interpreted by those that are spiritual, because the physical man can't handle that.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's why people are like projecting the other side of them and leaving the spiritual side of this.
Oh yes. Like I said, if you are to look at your Bible, right? The big names that are written in the Bible, they carry a lot of mess in the physical. Talk about Abraham. Abraham slept with a maid, Hagar, and brought us Ishmael. Right? Do we not have the Ishmaelites? We have them. Are they not recipients of a portion of a blessing of God? They are. So why didn't God kill that generation or stopped Hagar from giving birth? He couldn't do that, right? Because God is in it. So there are things that appear to be without God, yet those things, they are with God. Supporting a political as a man of God. God might be in it.
Really?
Oh yes. Oh yes. You can support any political party. Listen, it's still freedom of choice. It's still freedom of choice, which God himself gave to men.
But you see, like, other people are suffering, and you are standing with a certain political party and like supporting it, and you are a man of God. You are there to lead people's souls to Christ. You are there to serve people's souls. And now, physically, you are putting people into a situation where
it all depends with the understanding of seasons and times. Because right now, I can come and support a certain political party, right? With an understanding of the freedom that will be coming in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? But those that are in the current state or current situation, current pain, current hunger, they might not really understand it. But as a man of God, you would have opened your eyes and looked into 3, 4, 5 years and realized that, okay, this is the party to support. So
people won't understand it in that hunger, because already you are eating at your house. You've got everything that you need. But you're a man of God. Are you not there like supposed to serve people?
Okay. Jesus fed 4,000, he fed 5,000. What was the total population of people in that very time where he only fed 5,000 and 4,000? So which means there are some people who were not fed by Jesus during the time of his ministry.
Okay.
So you cannot, it's impossible to make sure that everyone has a Lamborghini, everyone has a Toyota Aqua. No, that's why we need to give some few, and some will still walk on foot. It's always like that.
Okay, so back to our topic. I just want to ask you this question. Is it right for couples to have the same account or to use the same account on saving money or anything they can do?
It is good, it is bad.
The bad side?
Right, the bad side is that we are not all the same. No matter how we can be married and be one according to the Bible, but we do not have the same characters and the same habits. Habits and characters, they are the ones that either attract or push away. So having one account can be bad in the sense that I'm negligent when it comes to money. I go there, I spend 500, I spend 700. In a day, I've spent 2,500. And then you go out, you only spend 5 rand for an ice cream at ShopRite or Pick and Pay. So our habits are completely different. So that's the bad part if we don't work on this thing. So one side will suffer. The good part is this. You are transparent to each other of whatever is happening. So if I go to the shop and buy something, you are going to receive a notification that I bought something from OK. But the only challenge there is you do not know what I went to buy, because I can go into ShopRite and buy condoms and you only receive a notification that I bought something in the shop, but you don't know what I bought.
Okay.
I can go and buy my girlfriend lunch at ShopRite or Pick and Pay or Woolies, and you will just only receive a notification that says I bought something, but you don't know what I bought. It's all trust. Like I say, those that decide to have one account, it's good. But I would say, I have my account, you have your account. As long as we are faithful and trustworthy, I will not do what I shouldn't do with my money, because my money is your money.
Okay. And the next question, I just want to ask on decision making. Who must make a decision? Like, is it right for you, maybe with your wife sitting, and you discuss on something like, we need to do this and we need to do this? Does her voice can be heard? Does her voice needed? Is in being heard?
Right. The person who should make a decision is the one that is sober within the relationship.
When you say sober, what do you mean?
I mean, they are drunk ones in the relationship. You can have a wife who is drunk, and if you allow that wife to make a decision, it means your whole relationship, your whole marriage, your whole thing is going to crash because of a drunk person making a decision. Now, let me give you a biblical example before I proceed with that one.
Okay.
When Noah drank wine, right? He went into his tent and he slept naked. It's a decision that was made by a drunk person.
Yes.
So, in a marital setup, two people are there. You need to know who is the sober one in finance, who is the sober one in health, who is the sober one when it comes to spirituality. So you can deploy each other and say, when it comes to money, please make a decision. Mr. Husband, make a decision. Wife, make a decision. It's not like because I'm a man, then I have to decide everything. It's wrong. There are men who are drunk out there. There are men who cannot decide clearly and soberly. And that's why we have a lot of relationships suffering and suffocating, because that man is drunk. From childhood is drunk. He can't reason. Instead of buying 5 tomatoes, he wants us to buy 10. He cannot understand why you need 10 tomatoes every week. So if you ask such a man to decide on your behalf, it means the whole thing, the whole boat is going astray.
Okay.
So the one who is sober
Must
make a decision.
All right, what about both of us are sober, and now you are maybe as a man is like, I'm the man who makes decisions. I have to say this, and this must be done in his way. Maybe both of you are sober on a scenario like that.
If you are standing on a setup that is a cultural setup where men are said to be the head of the family, but let's work on that one. When the statement says man is the head of the house, right? The word man there does not mean gender.
Okay.
Yes, it shouldn't mean gender, because you can be a man in decision making. You can be a man in character and in actions, but you are as a woman.
Okay.
So a man who is a head of the family is a man who is leading a family in a proper way. Okay. What happens to a single woman who is raising her 2 children alone? She has to man up to raise those children. She has to man up to defend the children. She has to man up to structure everything. So if we are to say men have to decide, then we are missing something. If a man in a setup is sober, a woman is sober in a setup, then do 50-50. 50-50. And we can never be sober equally. There's someone who is 50% sober and another one is 75% sober. So the one who has more strength, more sober percentage is the one who should decide in that day. And it differs with days and seasons. There are days where women, you are in your emotions and all that. We don't allow you to decide.
So I'll be the drunk one on that.
You'll be exactly. So it's all about understanding one another and seeing, okay, who is sober, who is sober, who is sober.
Okay.
And checking also, let's say you have been in a marriage or a relationship for 20 years. Check back, look back and say, okay, when we decided to move from city to city, who was making that decision and how firm was that decision? What benefit did we get out of such a decision? So you're not just thinking, okay, oh yeah, you're the one who is making a decision. No. There should be some records. Trace, check and say, okay, you worked with finances for the past 5 years. So I think I can trust you with the area of finances. So decide when it comes to money.
So it changed depending on time.
Yes, because we grow and we mature. But on the same note, there are some who refuse growth.
Really?
The troublemakers, yes.
So what must we do with those ones?
Those that refuse growth are the ones that must be divorced very quickly.
But God hates divorce.
God doesn't hate divorce. It's the church that hates divorce.
Church hates divorce.
Yes, God doesn't hate divorce.
Is
God hates a separation of that which He has put together.
Okay.
So if God puts me with a prostitute down the street, and you come separate that, God hates that.
So do you support divorce or in any chance?
I do. People must divorce.
Why? But you are a man of, like, on your man of God
I'm
side.
a man of God, but I don't believe in some church doctrines. I believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. I believe in the truth that sets people free. Freedom is what we want over people, and that's what we have to preach and practice.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So if it takes for you to divorce with your wife today, you can.
If God puts us together, then nobody should and nothing should. But if we were put together by our own feelings and our own lust, then we will separate.
But how can I know that this marriage was meant with God? It was putting together by God.
That's why we need prophets who actually see not from a feeling perspective or a church structuring perspective. Because the biggest problem we have now is in a church where a pastor needs some certain structures and buildings in his church, he will tell you who to marry, so that at least, you know, the two of you coming together can give us a very powerful church.
Okay.
But I can come in as a prophet and ask you to divorce immediately, and you can divorce, and God will love me more than your pastor.
Serious? I think one in Zeva. So I just want to ask you, is it right to be honest with your partner, even the situation is critical or it's hurtful to him or to her?
It all depends with the maturity of the part. There are people that refuse growth, like I said. We expect people to grow within the relationship and to grow in the relationship. So if we have been together for 5 years, and I came one day and I told you that I got a hug from this sister, and I think I'm falling in love with her through that hug. And then you scream, you break things, you push things away, you say words that you should not say. Just by that, I will know what more to tell you or what less to tell you.
But like, can you think like any lady in this world or any husband in this world can tolerate when you come and say you're hearing feelings on someone?
It's not fantasy, it's a reality. When we mature, we learn how to solve problems rather than making the problems worse. It's a reality. That's what's on the stand. Ask every man watching here. 99.9% of men are struggling with lust, including those that carry the Bibles to their church.
Okay.
Yes.
99.9%. They're struggling with lust.
99.99% they're struggling with lust.
But
lust is power. When it goes under control, it means you're going to act for that which you're lusting for. But when it's within the control, you can see, admire, be tempted, but know where to stop. This is the final truth for every man. So, men are built like that. We are different from you ladies because once you stick to a decision, sometimes you can love a guy who doesn't even have money, who is broken, all that, and people are asking, why are you with this guy and all that? You decided and you can commit to that, but not men.
Men can't.
You need the Holy Ghost.
So, but you're saying even those who are carrying Bibles, even those who have got Holy Ghost, they are still getting tempted.
Oh yeah. You see, to be a man of God, it doesn't mean that your sexual appetite has been reduced. Sometimes becoming a man of God, your sexual appetite actually rises. That's why you see some men of God, even with big names, prophets. Okay, they have 20 children, or 8 children, or 7 children. How did they make those children? Did they pray over their wives to be? No, it means they had sex with the wife, and the wife got pregnant 7 times. We are not talking about the other sex without children. So you are not excluded in that line, but it's power under control.
Okay.
That's why I said from the beginning, when you realize the importance of marrying, and that's where now the risk comes in for every man of God who is not married. What are you going to do? You are telling me you can still hold yourself ministering to 10,000 angels that are in your church with the weaves and makeup of today? And come on, no.
Okay, so say comfort, this is our last question because I think
Thank you.
people are being helped. I think there's someone we just get to another statement and it's working for them. My last question is, do you think couples should always resolve situations or conflicts before going to bed, or they need to take a break and come back together?
Okay. Let's take a house setup. Okay. A normal house has a sitting room, a dining, a spare bedroom, main bedroom, or a bathroom. Okay. Let's talk about a one bedroom. Let's say it's just that one bedroom with a kitchen setup and a sitting room. Okay. There is always a place and time for everything. The biggest challenge we have with couples is couples who are not professional in problem solving. They are very good at seeing the problem, but they are very bad in solving the problem. So you can see a problem from the kitchen perspective as a man, but where do you address and when do you address that problem? Is it in the kitchen or in the sitting room? Or outside the house, in the garden, in the park? Now, most couples, they mess up everything because they ask sensitive issues during mealtime and all the appetite is gone. That's a problem that you have created. Because if I came on that table hungry, I want to eat, you create another problem. Because the hunger I have is a problem on its own. And then you ask me, who is Janet? On that very table, you are creating a problem.
But is there a perfect way to ask about a question, or to ask or to address something, in a marriage or a relationship?
Yes, timing is important. And how you present. Let's say you have found a message in my phone that says, Mary Magdalene, I love you. I love you too, more than everyone else. How are you going to bring it to me? And when are you going to bring it to me? And where are you going to bring it to me? If you bring it to me before bedtime, let's say we're going to bed and then you say, oh yeah, and this and this and this, which means you are stealing my intimacy time.
But there was a lead in your phone with just like saying,
Oh, yes.
I love you.
Yeah, hold on to that. Put it aside, put it in the drawers. And life is like an office. It's got the in messages and the out messages, time thereof. Okay, tomorrow morning, sweetheart, can I have a minute with you before you go to work? Is that okay? And then he says, oh yeah, okay, no, that's fine. So you continue doing what you want to do, and then tomorrow, somebody knows, okay, there is an issue. You table it up. Okay, there's a message I saw in your phone. Do you know about it? Or is there anything you want to, are you willing to talk about it now or later? I say, no. Let's talk about it when I get back from work. That way is professional and it saves. Okay? The problem is this. If you catch me, I'll tell you as a man, and every man knows that. If you find out that I'm cheating, and you want to confront me with an extra strength of challenging me, we will leave the whole issue outside, because it's power against power.
Okay.
It's power. It's never, as a woman, act like you're fighting or you're attacking a man, because in a man there's an inbuilt thing that is there to defend and to attack. That's why you find out every man is so defensive. Even if you catch him red-handed, you still say, no, I didn't do it. I don't love her. No, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you approach a man in a very nice way, look at it from the Bible. The likes of Esther, when they wanted to confront the king, they will set a banquet. There is preparation for that. Maybe during the time of massage, where you are massaging him, say, but baby, tell me, who is Mary Magdalene? Who is Haggai? Who is Sarah? And say, oh, baby, come on, don't worry. You know, these girls, they are all over me, but you know, you are the one. You are the only one. You can understand that.
I just want to ask
Oh,
on
yes.
this, if you find a message in your wife's phone or your girlfriend or whoever, are you going to address it the same way you want your own situation to be addressed?
If you are heavyweight like me, I will not even. The thing is this, the issue about phones as well. Many people believe that you should share passwords with your husband or with your wife. Many people believe that you have to go in and scroll and check. I'm against that.
Why?
I'm against that.
Because you need to be transparent.
No, I'm not a detective. And I should not play any detective roles in my marriage. You said you do, and I said I do. Trust, that's all. That's not leaving a room of doing some kulula and kalala, no. But when I come into your phone, what am I looking for? I know you're professional. I know this and this. I rather believe when you're explaining that to me, not me finding it in your phone. Okay, let's come to this place whereby I find it accidentally.
Yeah.
Accidentally, I
Not
bump
even-
into a message and
Yes.
I see, I love. For me, I would say, yeah, so my wife is so beautiful to attract men, right? That's number one. I have to know that I have a beautiful woman. What I do now is to set a meeting to find out the interest from your side. Because number one, I cannot stop you from loving anyone who is not me. But I can love you to an extent that even if you are loved outside, that love of outside cannot be compared to the love I give.
But
So the message itself should not cause us to fight, neither forget what we are.
okay.
Yeah.
But on this situation, did you see that you address them differently?
Why?
Because it's 50-50, the same feeling, it's the same feeling
Yes.
the woman feels.
As a woman, you can see a message, you can see condoms in your husband's pocket. Okay? How do you address that? How do you approach? So if you're a woman and then you find a condom, immediately you stop doing what you're doing, you come to me. If I'm at work, you call me immediately. Then you have messed up. Like I said, there's time for everything. See what you see, know when to, timing. Look at your person, find out, oh, how is he going to take this when I say it now? Same to men. So there's no better side on men, better side for women. No, that's why I said couples should not just love each other. They should also be educated in some ways, and they should be professional in some ways, because love alone cannot sustain a relationship.
Okay. Say Comfort, I just wanted to give your last words to everyone who's listening to you right now.
When it comes to relationships and marriages, do what you do, what works for your marriage, and do what works for your relationship. Okay. If you want to do what others are doing, then you will always get the wrong results and you'll be disappointed at the end.
Okay.
50-50 is good. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching this exciting episode on Speak It Out. And we had Say Comforter in the building where we're talking about 50-50 in marriages or relationships. My name is Veva Zinzwira. For those who didn't watch the video, please, you can go back and rewatch it again. And kindly share our live, and kindly subscribe on our YouTube channel, Daily Desk. I think you just have to leave your social media handles for those who wanna listen to more preachings and more teachings.
Thank you very much. Instagram is Prophet Munyah. I have 2 accounts for those that love the spiritual side of me. Those that love me as me, you go to the heavyweight_M on both TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I think my social media handles for those who want to go to the heavyweight side or the spiritual side, you choose which side you want to go.
Exactly.
And as to my producers, Nash and Kuda, thank you so much, guys. You always make this easier for me. You always make this easier for me each and every time. And a special thank you to my sponsors, Chido Designs and Hair Glitz. Thank you so much for making me look pretty today. Thank you so much. And it's bye for now. And remember, it's not over until you speak it out.
speak it out. But daily desk, mahonero wako panyayai. Why don't you speak it out? Speak it out, speak it out. Taura, yeah, speak it out. Why don't you speak it out? Why don't you speak it out? Speak it out, yeah. Now all is green.